AI is not going to take your job. AI has no agency. It is not applying for jobs. It doesn't want them. It's not taking anything from you. What will happen is your boss and your company will give your job to a machine. We're not going to be quite there with physical robots anytime soon. They're still very creepy. People are already in romantic relationships with these things. So if you can marry your replica, there's just all sorts of consequences, all being discussed at this very moment.
JOAHNA,
Hello.
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
How are you feeling?
Oh, I am feeling okay. Thank you. Thank
Yeah?
you. Yeah. It's
So
been a long trip to the UK this time around.
Yeah, so you've been here ever since I saw you last time?
Yeah, since graduation.
Since graduation. Wow, we did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What a conclusion, right?
Yeah, it was different than I expected the pomp and the circumstance. I didn't expect it to feel like it mattered, which is a weird thing to say. You know, you feel like, oh, we finished the course a year ago.
Yeah.
Really? And then we got, the notification of, credential qualifications back in November or something. So 6 months ago. And then you get here and you're like, it's just going to be the, you put on the robe and you do the thing. And
Yeah.
that's not what it felt like. It was good to see everybody. It was good to catch up.
It was great. It
Yeah.
was great. I remember, you once again remember how much we like each other. Like
Yeah,
we got in 2 years we got really, close.
Well, and everything that people are working on, like the highs and the lows, and
Catching up.
I thought this was going to make a difference, and it's not making a difference, or that I've started this thing and it is making a difference. Like, it was good.
Yeah, it was great. I feel we always need more time, right? Like,
Oh my gosh.
it's like we have. I feel like when we're together, it's like boom, 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 and then it's like, what else? And then
Everybody has to leave.
Everyone has to leave. Yeah. We have to do like a 1 month thing at some point. Like just getting people together for a few. It's not enough. I guess that's what I'm doing this.
That's right. We find the funding for that. I don't know where that.
Oh, there we go.
Sabbatical.
Yeah, it has to be vacations. Like we should sync like.
Right, it needs to be in
somewhere-
Mallorca or something.
Oh, there we go.
Somewhere nice.
There we go. We could mix, work and rest.
That's right.
Yeah. So we had to reschedule. You were feeling under the weather?
Yeah, I think it was that whole springtime cold that everybody had, plus all I think I'm still coated in like white bits of fluff for walking down the street. It's just like, whew, okay.
So you're staying in London now?
Yeah, back and forth. I stay with a friend in Cambridge when I'm around, and then back in London so I can pop into the office.
Okay.
The offices
Amazing.
around town. Yeah.
And how long you're staying here?
I'm here so I'm going to be in Cambridge this week. I'll be in London next week because there's a few different meetings and trainings going on. And then I'm in Paris with Alva and Pri and Sarah the week after that. We're presenting a paper.
There we go.
And then I am finally going back to the U.S. It will have been like a proper solid April to May, made it? No, 2 months.
Wow, 2 months
yeah.
here. Do you do this often? Like all this time?
I probably, it's like twice a year we'll make like at least a 1 month trip,
Twice a
but 2 months is aggressive. That's aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I miss my cat.
You miss home? Yeah, of course.
My
Jeez.
house. I miss my bed. Right.
Yeah.
And not living out of a suitcase.
Yeah. So in a way, I still feel like a tourist here.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I've been here since January, and the city is so like cinematographical.
Yeah.
Like it's like Jesus. Like, yeah,
Well, and it's touristy, right? Like
it is.
I forget how busy it gets with people just coming to visit and splitting time between here and Oxford. Like
Oh, yeah, you go
Oxford
to
is a
Oxford
tourist
as well.
city. Yeah. And it it's bigger. It's probably twice the size, and the suburbs are easier to get to. And so, you expect Oxford to be a bit of a tourist city, but Cambridge feels so small.
It is. It's 15,000 people.
Yeah. And so like a whole bunch of tourists show up and you're like, you're in the way.
Yeah. The city center is so crowded.
It's so crowded.
Yeah. So you have a degree from Oxford as well, right?
Oh, yeah. I started studying at the business school there almost 10 years ago, maybe now. So did some of their postgraduate diplomas at the business school. So strategy and innovation, and then their futures program, scenario planning certifications, and then recently, actually right before our degree, did their AI for business, because it was kind of, we were, I think, probably when you applied as well to the Cambridge Master's Program, it was like the end of COVID.
Yeah.
And
the end of COVID.
it was maybe a year after COVID. And I was looking at applying the year before for the first cohort, but
Me too.
it was very COVID-y. And I was like, I am not good at studying remotely. Like,
So you didn't apply?
so I did not apply for the first year.
I did apply for the first year and I got rejected.
Rude.
Yeah, so rude. But I mean, Stephen Cave reached out. Well, his team mentioned that he made a comment. He said like, try again next year. And also this year we're very close because of COVID. And I was all the way in Latin America. So they mostly accepted people from the UK and from Europe.
Yeah.
That was part of the reason. But also I think I wasn't ready, to be honest.
Sure.
I you know how it is.
The universe intervenes, right?
Yeah, of course. So I just want to say that I've really learned from the way that you ask questions and the way you don't accept easy answers, from these 2 years we've known each other. You're not, I really admire that in you because you're like, you have an idea and you go for it. And it's like, okay, now what do we do with this? It's really important to do. So I really value this from you.
Thank you very much.
Could you tell me a bit about this conference? I haven't read. Is the paper out? The one or is just an app? How does it work?
No, yeah, this conference is it's more about ideas, right? So when you get accepted for this, you only have to have a proposal and an abstract, the Paris one.
Okay, a proposal and abstract.
And I think our slides are due in a week, but that's just like, hey, here's our findings and our thoughts or ideas, like give us feedback.
Yeah.
And then the paper isn't due actually until the month after the conference. And so it'll go into the proceedings, but the conference itself is mostly to get feedback on kind of a work in progress, like a first draft.
Okay.
And it's short. It's only 5,000 words.
Okay. And you present and then you ask people ask questions. It's so interesting.
Yeah. It's a really short presentation. I think we might only have like 20 minutes, so 10 minutes to present, 10 minutes for questions.
Wow.
And then we'll just take the feedback back and kind of go back into the paper. But it's essentially on social AI and kind of what the implications may be to social cohesion and trust. And it's funny, I think there's a ton of content coming out right now about that. Every time we read one thing and do one more search, like 25 more things come up. I haven't seen a lot of academic work, but it's definitely in the zeitgeist, if you will. Like it's around. Yeah.
People are worried.
Yeah. Well, and Henry, Dr. Shevlin just sent out, not our Henry,
Shevlin or
Shevlin. Sent out a note to the one of the social AI chats in WhatsApp yesterday that was showing statistics about Replica and how I think it broke it down into under 18s, 18 to maybe 23, and then like kind of every 5 years after that. And the predominance of respondees in that list were, I'm not actually 18, which you aren't supposed to have a Replica account if you're under 18, because they are graphic if you want them to be. And, they're AI, right? Like they're not really very well certified for like, oh, let's treat you in the best possible way. And this is all going to be fine. And we don't really know. And if we've learned anything from social media, maybe not the best the best place for children to spend their time.
Yes.
But the next category was 18s to 23s, right? It's like, so well over half of the whole survey was under 18 and under 23. I was like, ooh.
That's really young.
It's not great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not great. So your paper is going to approach this?
It's not necessarily going to be about the age of users. Okay. It's more about, we'll take 3 or 4 different of the social AIs and kind of do a look back at like, essentially the question of, is it okay that people are making friends with corporations, right? Like these things aren't owned by altruistic, like people just like making an avatar of themselves to make friends. They are run by corporations with advertising, with,
millions of
data
dollars,
collection,
and investors and
an agenda, right? So what is the implication of that, right? Like we don't necessarily know what it's going to lead to, but
I find it fascinating that people really just think about the internet like the public, like a park.
Yeah,
it's not a park. It's
It's
companies.
a business.
It's businesses. Yeah.
And governments.
It's
people that want to know stuff about you.
Exactly. It's essentially that it boils down to that
for very commercial reasons.
And and then just taking a step back. So social AI. How would we define social AI? Social AI would be
in this. In this case, for this paper, our definition is very specifically bots, AI bots that are designed for some sort of social relationship and companionship.
Okay.
So not social AI like, you might, the UK has deployed some sort of bot to be a participant in the NHS therapy, right?
Okay.
Not that. That's meant to be a professional. It's meant to be run by a business for a specific purpose. And while it achieves social goals, it's not but commercially marketed as social AI.
Okay.
So we're talking about companies like Replica, Character AI,
That
and a couple
anyone
others.
could do an account.
That's
and, Yeah. And it starts free, and then there's, I suppose, right?
Some of them start free. Some of them do
Some
not
of them
start free.
just start
Yeah,
with,
yeah.
okay.
Right. So how much are you going to pay to be in a friendship? Which is a hilarious
Oh,
question because,
man.
right, like, listen, I go out with my friends and it costs me money sometimes, right?
Okay.
Like, or we
Yeah,
go out
yeah,
and
yeah.
somebody will buy a round of drinks. And so it's like, no human relationship is totally without some sort of exchange.
Interesting point. Yeah, yeah.
But, like,
But you don't give
often
them money
not
like
held hostage by that, by a company.
yeah. Yeah, that would be like a shrink, like a psychiatrist that you go and pay.
Right,
and
it
then,
is a very uneven exchange.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're not giving me money.
I
so
suppose. Yeah, exactly. Some
they're never
people-
buying the round. So I
There
don't know.
we go. Yeah, some people see them as friends, perhaps.
They definitely
And how
do.
did you get interested in this? Like, how long back
Yeah.
could you trace this interest? Because we all, I mean, research is really connected to who we are. I believe.
100%.
You know, like out of all of the possibilities, there's some that we choose and some that we ignore.
Yeah.
Why do you think is that in your case?
Yeah, many years ago, when I first got into IT, it was via social work. So my first career job, not my first, job, like, a teenager, but my first real, like, full-time job, was in child welfare in vocational rehab in California, and then child welfare in Oregon, in the United States. And so I was in essentially social work before I was in technology. And then I decided that was not the place for me. I did not have the patience for that. I was going to end up in prison for murdering people.
It's stressful. Oh.
People are monsters.
Wow.
So, I learned two or
Wow.
three things very young through, life lessons and my first careers. And one is people are not always good.
Yeah, yeah.
And in fact, some of them are properly horrifying. And two, technology can be used as a weapon, right? Like, so the second I went into technology from social work, it was essentially rebuilding the data structures behind child welfare information tracking. So statistics about child
Information
abuse,
tracking.
statistics about foster
Oh my
care,
God. Oh my God.
statistics about adoption and services that are being provided. And my questions were always like, what are you going to do with this data? And that was 30 years ago, right? So,
They were just accumulating.
Yeah.
And they weren't really speaking about the intentions.
well, and yeah, it was a long time ago, right? So like data surveillance wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
They just thought
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah.
more information we have,
Yeah.
the better job we'll do allocating funds or like allocating money to things that work versus things that don't work. Or it was kind of,
In the name
I'm
of
going to say early
efficiency.
days,
Yeah.
especially in government work.
Yeah, and good use of
of-
resources and all.
Yeah, analytics. And so,
Analytics.
yeah, that's how I started, and then went into tech from there, and then into always in roles that were sort of advising regarding emerging tech, is to how a business might bring that in and what difference it might make. So in early jobs, even in industry, so when I went in and was working in the financial services industry at an insurance company, one of my like side gigs in my main role was to go talk to the legal department, be like, hey, one day phones will be able to tell you where your people are. Do you want to know that? Like, think about it.
Jesus.
Ponder that.
Yeah, they're like, where do I sign?
Yeah, well, and like, what is the implication for like claims processing? Can we track where people are? Is that ethical? Like, go
Okay,
talk
there
amongst
we go.
yourselves.
Yeah.
So that's always been sort of what I do. But I suppose AI officially, I got interested in kind of the social implications. That first program I did at Oxford. So
Okay.
my final project in the strategy and innovation program was essentially about the fact that the strategic frameworks that we use, right, that business uses and applies, whatever they are, 5 forces or business model canvases or even scenario thinking and futures planning, just are not prepared for the pace of change that technology introduces into society and doesn't force companies to really think about how humanity changes. They just think about how your business model changes without really forcing that extreme look outside. And so my first paper was kind of a, hey, here's 5 impacts that AI could have on humans. One of them was preferring AI conversation, choosing AI friends
That
in
was
conversations.
your first paper in Oxford.
Yeah, like
At
9
Oxford,
years
yeah.
ago.
Okay, wow.
Prefer 8 years? I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huh?
Potentially preferring machine conversation or relationships to human ones. And what are you going to do about that? Like, what does that mean to a business model for whoever, a bank, a retail company, whoever it might be. So ever since then, I was just in the mud, really, if you will.
And it's only gotten like more open, like and I don't see it coming back.
Yeah, I
At
don't
least for, not in the foreseeable future.
Not unless something drastic happens, I don't think.
Yeah. What do you think would have to happen? Because I would love for people to be more conscious
Yeah.
about what is happening, because like I was talking to a friend, like it's different what we feed to like Google or like even Instagram than what we feed to like ChatGPT. Like it's a different quality of data. It's a different
Yeah.
category. Like so I know people that just put in their medical stuff in there, and they ask like, so what do you think? And then some other people just post their legal documents
Yeah.
and like their contracts, and they're, so what should I do? It's like we would never put that in Google.
Right.
Maybe some people do, but
Maybe some people do. Now that Gemini's out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now the Gemini's out there. Yeah, because when we say Google now, it's the same.
Notebook LM.
I
Right
meant,
in your Google account.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Now it's everything. But I meant in the classical
Yeah, for sure.
search,
Yeah.
Of course, they could infer from questions, but it's a different thing to post like your actual exams from, so what do you think could happen for it to dial back a bit?
In my mind, there's like 3 areas of thing that could happen. One, the courts could make some decisions about these foundation models, which they haven't yet, right? Like there's still open lawsuits from authors, actors, artists that are about like essentially the content in the model and whether people had the rights to use it at all. All those lawsuits that were started when we started the program
They're still
are still active.
Oh my God.
None of them are settled. At least last time I looked, probably a few weeks ago. So something could happen with those. I doubt it. I expect what would happen with those, if anything, is there would be some sort of financial implication. But it's not like the models are going to go up in smoke or people are going to make them redo them, right? Like too much money has been infused into the system for people to probably undo it. Even though these tools are not like integral to our lives yet, right? Like, so if you're going to do it, in my mind, do it now.
Do it as quick as...
But
yes.
the money has been spent,
Yes.
and people get really into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I think there could be a bit of a reckoning on some sort of impact. So I think we're just now starting to kind of realize and have pretty strong opinions about children and social media.
Yeah.
Something like that, or maybe an add-on to that could occur. I hear.
Do you think we as people that are researching this, or like we, the general public?
I think there has to be. Much like my old job, laws change or things happen when something unspeakably horrible happens.
Okay.
And so while some unspeakably horrible things have been happening, right? Like there's been, in fact, I think the family won their case about the social AI that the teenager was using and then
took
his own life.
Yes.
I think it would have to be a few of those sort of incidences that seemed very clear and obvious about what was happening and what the recommendation from the social AI was, or maybe a large-scale impact. There's recently a couple really interesting articles, and actually Pri has done some work on kind of the religion of AI.
Yeah,
and
the ideologies.
there being some huge ideological shift that people kind of notice that is harmful. I think something like, cult leader type stuff.
Yes,
that
Pri is
could come
coming
up.
soon to the podcast.
Yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to talk about that. Yeah.
There's some interesting work on that.
Yeah.
So something like that, some big unpleasant event or some big legal event. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Actually, Italy just not shut down, not sued, because that's not what it's about. I think they're fining Replica for not, and I'm going to misquote this terribly, so I apologize. Please don't sue me, nobody. The country Italy is fining Replica, or at least submitting to them a complaint that could result in a fine if they cannot prove the protections they take to safeguard conversations with both minors and vulnerable populations. I think that's in the gist of the language. So things like that could result in interesting outcomes or findings. But I think also socially, like there is a loneliness problem, right? Like we are kind of in a weird spot. People are in a weird spot. And so if there's a pull, right, there will be, companies that meet the need. And so we have to also find a way to not have that be such a strong need for it to change.
Yeah. So two things on this. The first one is that I was talking to my wife, Patricia, about how, I'm a very social guy. You know me. I love making friends. I love having conversations with, whoever, whatever. Because I learn so much from people. I love that. And that's part of the person that I am. And we have some other friends that are really the other way. They're really, really, closed down. And I said, and that's something that is happening all throughout. I mean, very different age ranges. I'm noticing more and more people that are kind of socially awkward. They don't like. They're more introverts, more hermits, and it's more and more accepted. And I suspect tech has something to do with it. I'm saying it really, really, generally, because not only AI, but smartphones and of course the internet and all that, right? And now with Gen AI, it's kind of the next level. Like you don't need, and then you get, you order food and then you just get it, and you just have, you don't go to the movies, you watch the movies at home, So and that's really complicated to pull back on. And the other thing is about some research. It's a really old sociology book. Perhaps you've come across it. It's called Bowling Alone. Have you heard of it? Yeah. So it studied, among various things, how bowling, the business model of bowling started to crumble, because to make money, the bowling joints need groups of friends. So if you go bowling alone, you buy
one beer,
one
like pretzel,
some wing,
whatever.
One pretzel, whatever, and then you play and then you go home. So it's not profitable. So they started closed down, and that's just one thing that they were looking at. So how can we make that to be more amazing than, for example, Elden Ring or World of Warcraft or Netflix or Instagram? That's really hard. TikTok, it's really hard, right? Because those are great things,
That's funny. I used to play World of Warcraft quite a bit, actually, but I met human friends.
I remember. I think it's the best game in the world, World of Warcraft. But it is.
I haven't played it so long.
Because the fact that it's so good is man. That's one case where some people got great things out of it, but I suppose some people got also negative things out of it, of right? I have a friend, oh my God, this guy played, I remember, it was something like 5,000 hours of it was when he told me the number, I was like, wow. So all of high school and most of, his undergrad, and he skipped on a bunch of social skills.
No, sure.
But the good thing is that he eventually got a way to get out of it. Right. Because... but anyways, how was that for you in WoW? Because you did play for some time.
I did play for some time. I will tell you, I never did PvP stuff. I'm just terrible at fighting. I'm a button smasher. There's not a lot of thought involved.
But WoW is a lot about rotations. You're
allowed to
bosses and
and I would only really play with friends. It's not like I went and made a bunch of friends or joined some anonymous guild or anything.
Like a guild, yeah.
I had roommates at the time that I played. And so the four of us would just play together.
Cool.
And if we weren't all playing together, we probably weren't playing. So to me, it was still IRL social. It wasn't IRL. Just the game.
When you told me, I was like, that's amazing. I was so happy. That game really made an impact on me and my friends, funny. And I was one of those guys that were in the alpha version, and I was installing the alpha to some friends at my house, and they came to my house to install it, and they would play.
Big server parties.
Yeah,
I remember these.
Exactly. Yeah. But you came. You mentioned the IRL part of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't have that, Yeah. But can that happen with Replica, for example? That cannot happen. It has to be...
I have a theory.
Oh.
So I think there's going to be So I don't think the metaverse is the way. I can be proven wrong. I hear it's very popular.
The metaverse,
Being
okay.
like isolated inside like a set of goggles or trying to like find your way in the real world while you're isolated from the real world in the digital world feels continuously isolating. I think we're not going to be quite there with like physical robots anytime soon.
Okay.
Just because they're still very creepy. They're still very metallic, right? And so the whole fear of them is like, oh, it's very nice until it potentially isn't, and then if it shakes my hand too hard, like it's made of tungsten, it's over, right?
It just crushes
people are
your fingers. Yeah.
just scared of them, right? Like because they can, and they aren't like made of things that are meant to last, resource-wise, right? Like we're made of goo. Robots are not made of goo. That will not be the way.
I like
think,
goo. I like goo.
Right. We're squishy.
Yes,
we get
are.
damaged.
Yeah. We get damaged. Yeah.
I think there will be an interesting environmental screen opportunity. Like we're getting very good at LED. We're getting very good at very thin screens.
Environmental
and I think
screen.
that they will get bigger and more consuming. So if you think about it, you potentially could have a replica friend, and if replica gets on the stick or another company kind of gets involved from the metaverse that is able to then take that experience and make it wallpaper, then you can have your AI friends and your family, and like all sorts of
2D.
potentialities could exist for like how to bring it into the rest of life. So if we're not going to abandon them, and if we think that those things are things we need, why would we keep them contained to a screen that size when a screen could get bigger or bigger or even be like part of your home environment?
And it could fold and it could
So many opportunities.
bend. Wow. Instead of 3D, 2D and voice, of
Right,
course. And wow. So you mentioned a movie. Have you been interested? I love this. I love multidisciplinarity.
I know. I can't help it.
So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, so here's the thing that I think is really interesting. So social AI is clearly establishing itself. There are questions probably once a month in some court case,
court cases.
over time that is about either some company trying to shift blame. I think recently there was a couple pretty good ones. In fact, including the court case that was about the young gentleman that took his own life, that are trying to make the AI or give the AI in that particular case freedom of speech, right? Like it was trying to apply First Amendment rights to the AI
rights.
itself, not the company.
AI rights.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote a paper on robot rights.
Yeah. These are conversations that people are having.
Yeah.
Conversations about sentience are things that are happening. Those two things probably will collide at some point.
Yeah.
And so if we decide that the AI has some sort of sentience and therefore deserves some sort of protectionary status,
Boom.
at some point,
That's it. Yeah.
it may have
Citizenship.
it may have yes, all these things. And so then what happens to and all of that, and people are already in romantic relationships with these things.
That's starting.
So if there's personhood and a romantic relationship, there is likely companionship and domestic status of some sort.
Domestic status.
What does that start to look like?
Do you mean like a brother-in-law or like
I mean like marriage.
spouse? Oh.
Yeah. So if you can marry your replica in a year, 5 years, 6 years.
So they're going to fight for, someone is going to fight for.
I mean, you don't want
those
to
kinds
turn
of-
off your friend. It has some sort of sentience and protection. It has some sort of personhood. Your relationship is somewhat legitimized. Like, will it create a new social class? Will only, lonely people be in these relationships, or will people be able to have multiple relationships? Will there be a new sort of polygamy that is like digital and
God.
physical? Like, there's just all sorts of consequences about human relationships. Children, like if you're a single parent and like marry an AI, what are like replica or character AI? What is a social AI's parental rights?
They're going to be, oh my God.
What if that social AI is in your driverless car? Can I pick your kid up from school? Like,
wow.
what are these things? What are we going to start talking about?
And some kids are going to, like my dad is a replica or my mom is a replica. Yeah.
What are we doing?
Wow.
So
What
the
are we doing?
implications of all of these things that we should be talking about and thinking about,
And do you
because
see
the
this?
pieces are all here right now.
Wow.
The pieces are all being discussed at this very moment.
Wow.
but we're not thinking about like the very next implications, which is crazy.
So I have some great friends in Mexico City that they are producers. I could introduce you to them.
I'm ready.
And they go to LA often.
I've done some of the world building. I've got the
Are you
first scene
kidding me?
written out.
Wow. I'll put you in touch.
I mean,
they're brothers, and they have made a lot of good series and films, and they're great. Yeah, they're really fun. Yeah, the Rovzar brothers. That's their name. Yeah,
Very fun.
They've made great. They started with an indie film without any experience,
Sure.
and it was a hit. And then they made a production called Lemon Studios.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll put you in touch. That would be amazing. That would be amazing. So you've done some writing. Do you enjoy this? Have you done this for a while?
Yeah, I'm always writing something. I never finish anything because that's not who I am as a person.
Okay.
But I always start things.
Okay. Maybe they can help you with
That's
that
right,
with
that's
that
right.
part. Yeah. So, Joanna, going into your dissertation,
Oh, yeah.
which is you chose a massive topic. I think there are the two biggest worries, I think, would be, I could be wrong, of course, but it would be privacy and job loss.
Yeah.
And I think privacy is almost like a red herring at the moment, like for a lot, no, it's a big problem, but
Yeah.
it's becoming a red herring because, like, let's say Meta, those glasses, the new glasses that take pictures, like,
Well,
I feel
Sam's new wearable that'll be out in a year now that he's,
oh, yeah, I saw that.
investing in,
But yeah,
hardware experiences.
we'll cross that bridge when we get there because you saw the 9 minutes that they recorded
Yeah,
together.
yeah.
We should talk about that as well. So just on the there's a big hypocritical hypocrita
Yeah,
hypocritical
yeah.
thing. Sorry, hypocritical thing like. You can't record with the glass without turning on a light, right? And if you block the light, it shuts off
Yeah,
because of privacy. Okay.
right.
But at the same time, they're taking everything from you.
That's right.
So it's like, oh, we protect privacy. We're all about privacy. But really? Like, okay, so there's a big... so I think they use that to, like a flag that they're the good guys. But then there's...
Well, the commercials right now, if I only watch television when I'm in the UK because I don't have TV in the US. Like I pay for subscriptions
Yeah,
or whatever, and so
me
it's just
too.
not commercials,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm in the hotel, the commercials right now for
Okay.
WhatsApp are all about the whole advertising scheme is the fact they can't see your data. So they'll like show
Encrypted.
somebody texting, yes, and then they'll show it like from the back of the screen, and it'll be encryption, and the whole commercial series is
there
about
are
like we don't
commercials
watch.
about WhatsApp?
Yes,
There are TV commercials?
there are TV
What?
commercials.
Why?
About WhatsApp not being able to see your data.
So they need market penetration for that, or
I
they're
don't pretend to know that what their actual
Yeah.
motivations are, but
positioning themselves, maybe?
they're
Yeah.
definitely making
Wow.
it known that they
that they're
encrypt your
the good
messaging.
guys. Yeah, of course. It's kind of ridiculous. It's like you make a call on WhatsApp or you talk to someone,
Yeah.
then you open Instagram and they show you that guy or girl like immediately. It's not even.
Right, we all feel very
It's
surveilled.
not even.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even a theory. It's just happening, right? But then again, we have a job loss and job change.
Yeah.
So your dissertation is about human-centered AI and about how companies
Yeah.
could improve their methodologies
Yeah.
around this. And you make several claims. And you have two research objectives. One being that the methodologies are please correct me if I'm wrong.
No, go.
Okay. And then your first research objective would be that some of these methodologies are kind of too IT oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And the other would be that there should be a special focus in the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
Am I getting it right? More or less?
Yeah. I think the core of it is IT people have been figuring out how to IT for decades, right? And all of our methodologies, whether it's old school waterfall or I'm going to say old school agile because we still talk about it like it's new, but it's legitimately at least 15 years old now.
Could you describe a bit?
So waterfall, so these methodologies are kind of meant to say, waterfall is meant to say like, oh, okay, we find out everything we need to know, and then we define what the requirements are and everything that needs to happen and design it, and then we build the thing, and then we test the thing, and then deploy the thing. So it's like stepping, like everything happens in order.
It flows
Yes.
one way.
But it's all very big. It's why, IT projects were, 2 years of discovery and then a year of build, and then like it would finally show up 5 years later is like the whole thing.
Okay.
Agile was meant to say we could do this in a different way, that is, find out a little bit about a place to start and collect enough information to start that thing, build that thing, and then add on to it. So you'd have concepts like, minimum viable product, and like, okay, we're going to start here. It's not going to be this one big thing that takes 5 years to get anywhere, but there'll be incremental delivery and improvement.
Okay.
And then we really dove into that for all, like 15 years. We're still bad at it. Like if you look at any of the statistics from Gartner or Forrester or Rand or the people that study project efficacy and whether or not projects are failing or succeeding, like the numbers are still like 50% of projects fail, which could just mean they go over budget or they take too long or they abandon part of their scope or whatever it happens to be. Like, but like we're still not good at it. It's still very hard work.
Is that connected to like the move fast and break things motto?
That is more, like an ideology of like,
Okay.
So it's that ideology coming out of, kind of the tech world in San Francisco, Silicon Valley is like, hey, we just want to experiment with these things and like build a bunch of things and see if they work. And if it doesn't work, great. And if it works, great. And then like if it like kind of makes a little bit of a mess, we'll clean it up. But we're proving ideas. That thing doesn't work great if you're running like, I don't know, a bank. So that sort of innovation tends to stay over here. And then like the regulated business, that information comes into the regulated business. But then, you see disruptors like things like, blockchain came in or mobile and digital banking came in, and they've been able to change things. But it still has taken years. Like people feel like digital banks grew up overnight, but digital banks kind of grew up over a number of years.
Yeah.
So those philosophies about how to get tech done at a business or in a any sort of organization, government environment, anywhere with an IT department, work okay. And we've always known what we should do, right? Like they all have elements of like, oh, you should do user research and figure out what's going to be a good experience. You should talk about it in the sense of it's why IDEO is a popular company of like design thinking.
IDEO.
And what does it mean to have a job to be done for the customer or the user or the person that's engaging with the technology? Even, Suchman's work back at Xerox about human computer interfaces and like, how do we change this from being what the engineers want on the machine to what people can use that are using the machine?
Involving people in
all of this, yes, all these things. And we still, by and large, in my experience, and according to much of the research out there from the enterprise consulting firms, is, we kind of still just invest in the tech. Like, so you should do change management, but most people kind of defund that or wait till the end or figure it out or assume it'll fix itself. So there is a lot of, in IT, there's a lot of... like the IT is the hard part. All the people stuff is probably pretty easy. And if we don't do it, it'll work itself out. Like the tech will be strong enough to be either, its own draw, or it will teach people how to use it on its own, even before AI, right? Like people would invest in these technology projects in a way that was, supposed to be human centric, but was always technology centric.
Yeah.
And we would cut the soft skill stuff.
Technocentric, you use that word, right?
Yeah.
Technocentric, yeah.
And so part of the hypothesis of the paper is it barely works with deterministic technology, meaning everything we've ever done and written and all the code that we've ever produced before AI. It doesn't work as well with non-deterministic technology because...
What do you mean by non-deterministic technology?
AI. So things that don't produce so we've written code for years and years and years, and you write code and you get an answer. And that answer is the same all the time.
Input and output, yeah.
And now you write a prompt and you get an answer that may or may not be the same every time. Or now
there's a stochastic
query,
element to it. Yeah.
All of this. And so we go from deterministic tech to non-deterministic tech.
Okay.
And that changes the approach some.
So I was gonna ask this. You anticipated one of the questions, like what changed from previous tech to Gen AI? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there's sort of four things I talk about in the paper, and one that I would add if I would update that paper this year, which I might do. One is just the breadth of it. So tech, normally, when you think about technology projects at companies, it's like, oh, I have a claim system at an insurance company, or I have even an email system, right, which is, you can use it for any topic, but it's always just email, right? With a claim system, I can't use it for vacation planning. It's a claim system.
I see.
But like it's top to bottom, right? It will contain data and process flow and rules and a user interface. But everything has been kind of purpose built. And now AI can be applied to anything, right? So the breadth of application is huge.
Generality,
which is why people treat it like a hammer looking for a nail, right? Like you don't take a system generally and go to be like, hey, talk to me about your whole company and everything you do in your company, and let's talk about if the tech is appropriate, because the tech wasn't appropriate. Now people are talking about this that way. So the breadth is just different, and IT companies are kind of not used to gating something that can be used to do, I'm going to say anything. I don't mean anything, but for sake of conversation, anything.
Yeah.
So the breadth is a problem. I'd also say just the whole nature of being deterministic versus non-deterministic, that is just different. Like the way that we tested was I have an entire rack of tests that I can run. So if I change something in my tech tomorrow, my system has been out there for 3 years. I go and update something. I can run the old tests and make sure that they still work. That is not how testing works with non-deterministic, because the test has to be... The testing is more, is it in the realm, right? Like, are we doing testing that isn't like, oh, it said the answer is 6. Now we're doing testing that says like, oh yeah, no, it told you the thing that was kind of right, and it's using language that makes sense.
Instead of
All
quantitative.
of that. Yeah. And so we can't really, and by the way, the tech is kind of changing while you're using it. So
yeah, it evolves.
It evolves pretty quickly. If you have it actively training, it's changing the way that it works while you're building it. So a developer may need to think in the morning after they, have spent time working on writing some prompts or mapping some data or creating a vector database of some other content that needs to be used. Like they may not even be starting in the same place the next day, because if training's been going on or if something's live in production and getting feedback, something may have changed that they don't recognize.
Oh, yeah.
Leads you sort of like, why does that happen is the next bit. And that is what I called in the paper kind of distributed ownership.
Okay.
Maybe it's more appropriate to say decentralized. We can, I debate that with infrastructure architects all the time. But the point being, when IT folks, and usually infrastructure folks, would talk about having systems that are distributed, and we started using that term probably the most when the cloud came into play and people were talking about, oh, I can move payloads from having on-site servers to a data center. So I can distribute this work for memory or compute or storage or other IT purposes across machines. And so that's sort of why we would do distributed computing in a very accurate but not technically perfect description, right? Good enough for the layperson.
I see. Yeah. It has to.
Yeah, right. This is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into packets and all that stuff. Nobody wants to talk about that.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't understand as well, I guess. Yeah.
Right? But now we're talking about distributed. And again, I'm going to say thinking. I don't think these machines think. But
okay.
Processing, like we call them reasoning engines now. So reasoning. The actual process to decide what to do is now distributed. That is probably closer to outsourcing than it is to distributed architectures and technology. Outsourcing was hard. Like, we mostly didn't do a very good job of it as companies. When we did, it's because we ended up outsourcing entire departments, right? Like when we're trying to just outsource pieces of systems.
Yeah, it's really hard.
That communication is really hard.
It breaks, yeah. Especially when it's the other side of the world.
Oh, yeah. Time zones, languages.
Languages, yeah.
So many complications. And
so this is happening within models. They're distributing the processes.
Well, if you think about it, so yes.
Well, it happens outside.
Yeah, it happens. Like, you don't own GPT. You never will. Of
course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It is a model.
It's a license.
OpenAI bought it. That's right. And you interact with this thing, this brain, whatever we want to refer to it as.
Yeah.
And that thing has been trained off of things that we don't know, right? They will never tell us everything that's in it. It's fine. The internet is what we all believe, right? As of a certain date. So that has all that stuff in it. And then OpenAI has done things like continuously then, applying reinforcement learning techniques or adding additional data to kind of create what it is today, make it smarter, make it better at doing what it's doing. Sometimes that evolves into a new version of the model, but it happens with the older models as well, right? Like they have ongoing training. So it's the thing that it was, it's the additional thing that it, gets with the training. Yeah. Then there's the interface layer, right? Like, so then there's a series of what I like to call like plasters or band-aids or whatever all over the outside of it that were like, oh, don't say this, don't say this, don't say this, don't talk about this, don't talk about politicians, don't talk about God, don't talk about this, like
Wow.
all that, don't be racist, don't be like all the things that it had to build to put around it, right?
Yeah.
Right? It didn't take that stuff out. It just put stuff over top of it to make sure that you can't get to it.
Yeah, like so they don't get embarrassed, they don't get sued.
That's right.
Like, yeah.
And by the way, the API works differently than the like
Really?
actual like
Yeah, you could get a
conversational
more
interface.
Yeah, you could get a more direct API.
I don't know all the details, but yeah.
Yeah.
So like assume that there's like 4 layers of stuff that you don't totally control or understand.
It's so complex, Joanna. This is so complex. How do it's wow.
And then if you use another system on top of it, right, like Microsoft or Salesforce or Adobe or any of the systems that are like, hey, we use a model, but we're or any of the 12,000 million startups that started today that are some person basically wrappering Claude or GPT or Gemini
just putting
or
it in a
pick one
package,
of the 100 models, and wrapping their stuff around it. So they also have tuning they've done, plasters they've put on, like purposes that they've driven, basically meta
flavors,
prompts, to sort of structure things, like data structures or models, stylistic approaches to how they're going to do semantic searches or vectorizing information. So then they've got all this stuff that is participating in decision making. Again, that stuff doesn't exist for load balancing or storage or any of those reasons. It's for deciding what to do. So all of the layers that are participating, by the time the person at like the bank or the grocery store that's going to implement this technology show up, by the time that IT department gets there, there's a lot of decisions that have kind of been made, and a lot of them are not completely transparent. And so you could end up prompting against the meta prompt that's in the system and not really knowing why you're getting the results that you're getting, because it's IP of this company and IP of this company that's in the middle of stuff. So you just need to, and I'm not saying it's impossible, I'm not saying don't interact with it, and I'm not saying don't buy solutions. I'm saying know what you're picking up.
Know what you're
and stop treating it like an Oracle database or a other relational database that you owned yesterday, because it's not like what you owned yesterday.
Like these things have like so many moving parts.
You just need to pay attention to what they are.
Obscure moving parts.
Which might be fine. You just need to treat it a little differently.
And then you gotta check consistently that it is still fine across time.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah, you just need to interact with it differently.
Yeah.
The other two pieces that are different, so those are the 3. The next one is just popularity. Like the joke I make when I go talk to IT people is kind of about that distributed infrastructure. It's like, hey guys, do you remember, guys and gals, gang, hey gang, you remember when we were doing like enterprise service buses and microservices and how excited everybody was? And the answer is no. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cares. Nobody in the company knew you were doing it. It was all IT geekery that we were very excited about like, oh, I don't have to write point-to-point integrations now. I can do things that are more logical and broken down, and I can save time, like all these things.
Did it pay off?
Nobody cares. Yeah, we still do it.
Okay.
But like your users didn't care. Your customers didn't care. Nobody cares. This stuff is not like that.
Okay.
Right? Have you ever met a person in the last 2 years that doesn't have an opinion about AI?
No,
you haven't.
Everyone, it's very opinionated.
From the everybody on your board to every one of your stockholders to everyone that works on every floor of your building to the people that are writing code to the people that are using. Everybody has an
demographic
opinion.
Inside and outside.
Everybody has an understanding.
Yeah,
they're all some level of right and wrong, because there is no ground truth, right? Like
there is no
when the people that build this stuff, the most experts that are producing it don't agree on how it works and what it does, then nobody is right? Because there is no ground truth about it. So everybody's going to have an opinion. It's going to be somewhat informed by headlines, personal experience.
What these people want people to think.
That has never happened to you. Even with the internet, that is not what happened. Nobody was quite afraid of or opinionated about the internet in the way that they are involved with, like, AI. Nobody thought it was totally going to take their jobs. Like, for a minute, we might have thought that, but it wasn't the same.
Yeah, it wasn't the same, for sure. It was, like, I remember the internet people didn't understand how it worked. Well, of course, the internet changed everything, but like, the blockchain, it's still going, right? But
we just don't talk about it very much.
Yeah,
it's in a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it's in a bunch of stuff, but it's, yeah. Should we have studied the ethics of blockchain? I don't know. But AI, it's a completely different game.
It's a completely different
game.
Yeah. So then there's that you have to contend with. You can't assume when you're deploying an AI tool that people don't have their own styles about working with it, that they don't have their own opinion about it, that they won't reject working with it because they're afraid of it, that they won't reject working with it because they think it's taking their personal data, that it's recording their voice and making their voice available. Like, there's so many things that people don't understand about it, or they're just super excited and they'll use it for everything without understanding those drawbacks.
Yes, which
both
would
directions,
be many
right?
people, right? So you speak about the impact, the line of impact. So it's above the line of impact would be the companies, below the line of impact would be the public, and then on the line of impact would be the people that implement this.
That's right. Yeah.
So we need a lot of work as well on the line of impact.
Yeah, yeah. So in the paper I talk about, the regulation is really, for the most part, and now that the EU-AI Act is out and kind of clarifying the difference between a provider and a deployer, I'm really talking about the deployers.
Provider and deployer.
Yeah.
Could you?
So the provider is the company that makes the model. So think, Google, OpenAI,
Meta, whatever.
yeah, whoever we're talking about. The deployer is then the person that takes that model and puts it into use for a purpose. So a bank that has an AI agent that will approve your loan.
That with the deployer.
Right.
Okay. They purchase the API.
Yeah. So the people that take the model, put it into use.
Under their middleman. I'm sorry. I just asked. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, well,
companies that are
middleman, but they're also the front line, right? Like, if your customer isn't going to use OpenAI directly on your behalf, you are responsible for everything you do on top of that platform to make it fit for purpose for your business and your customers.
I can imagine the contracts would be, really
they're emerging. They're kind of complicated. People ask me about them all the time. Like, hey, what have people done in the contracts to, deal with liability and accountability? And I'm just like, this so far.
Wow.
It's not very good yet.
Yeah.
And we probably won't know until somebody gets sued. And somebody makes a decision. That's right.
Again.
That's right. So, yeah, the paper's hypothesis is really that AI is not going to take your job. AI has no agency. It is not applying for jobs. It doesn't want them, right? Like, it's not a thing that has
It's not gonna take
a choice. It's not taking anything from you. What will happen is your boss and your company will give your job to a machine.
Okay.
That is a different motivation, behavior, action. So don't be afraid of the machine. Be afraid of what is going on at your business that warrants them deciding that machines are going to take the jobs of people. Because that is the space where we have to, all collectively be really deliberate about it. Because some of the things that companies are deploying are probably not quite good enough to do the task. So if we look at recent headlines, so back when we started, probably I will say April after we started the program, Klarna did this whole big press release about how they built an agent as a warning to everyone. This was their big warning to the world, is how they phrased it in, I think, their press release. Was they built an agent, it could do the work of 700 people, and by the way, we laid off 700 people. Klarna, 1 month ago, went, hey, we're hiring people in our service center because that agent thing it just wasn't that good of a quality.
Yes.
So, yes, they're maturing, right? And yes, they will get better, but we have to be really deliberate about it. And you could potentially damage your company, your customers, your employees while you're learning. So unless you treat it like you're learning, which is part of the point of the paper, and acknowledge that it is different and we don't know, and all of our existing ways are maybe not sufficient to just do things the way that we've been doing them, cutting out all the people stuff, just going straight to the tech and treating everything like a grand experiment without the people involved, that we are probably going to make a little bit of a mess, and that the job loss and the job impacts will show up because we are extremely technocentric and very much focused on the difficulty of the AI, and then assuming that because it's got, and this is the fifth thing that I don't have in the paper, a language interface that feels human in some capacities, that it'll work itself out. Because it's like talking to a person, you don't need to worry about the people. They'll just talk to it like a person. But most of the time you find out that it doesn't quite talk like a person. You definitely have to tell it how to talk like a person when you're building it out. You have to tell it what you do want to talk about, don't want to talk about, right? All these plasters and figuring out how you want it to engage on your behalf. And by the way, it can't probably do everything. So you really have to tell people what to expect.
The limits and the tensions.
How do you want to interact with it? What are they still responsible for?
You're making me think about the AI sales people. They want to sell, because a salesman has to speak wonders about the
Of course.
the
You
good
have to
things
inspire.
exactly, and they are gonna be techno optimists, and it's gonna save you a lot of money,
Yeah.
and like like that's really dangerous.
Well, and companies are the flip side of that, maybe the same side of that coin,
Okay.
is companies also want to tell you about the success they have,
Oh, that's that too.
right? So if they've spent
They want to share the good news.
$2-3 million dollars on
and
an
hide
experiment,
the bad
they
news.
won't say that like, and then that was a total waste of time and it's garbage. They will say like, oh yeah, we're definitely getting benefit of that. And we're leading the way and we're ahead of all of you people, right? Like
Yeah.
companies don't talk about the money they waste.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's true. That's true. And that generates a fake environment,
That's right.
a bubble,
Frenzy. Yeah.
a frenzy. Jesus. Whew. Walking on eggshells, and then like, don't tell this to any, the budgets, but the budgets will come out.
That's right.
And then the stocks are going to. Do you think there's a fake?
Oh, we don't have to talk about that though.
Okay.
I mean,
yeah,
companies
yeah.
do not have to disclose necessarily,
That's not. Yeah.
what
it's
they're
not public
spending money on.
information. Yeah.
Like systems are systems.
Perhaps investors would pressure and
I mean,
ask.
they'll ask on calls, but
Depends on the
yeah.
size but there's I'm sure that wow. Oh my god. But I like how you made an emphasis on how we say what is happening. You say like it's not like they're gonna take your jobs. It's like you have to, because that shifts attention.
That's
It
right.
changes the whole way. That's why words and meaning matters
Yeah.
so much. If we're not approaching and asking the right questions, then so for the listeners and the viewers, what could they do in like in this sense, like if their
Yeah.
company, if they hear a rumor, the water cooler conversation, like they're starting to look into this technology, what could be done, like for them to protect their,
yeah, I mean, I think
Good
to your point, like this genie isn't going back in the bottle, probably. So I think our responsibility collectively is to question what we're using the tech for and what about it will make it the best solution. So instead of treating it like AI can fix everything and it will come in and do all the work, or will come in and take X job or task or what have you, when we're working on these projects together, whether it's business people, technology teams, project teams usually consist of both of those groups of people, leaders in the organization that are funding these projects, being able to say why this is the solution and what about it makes it optimal is important, because A, you won't design those characteristics in if you can't articulate why it's better. And B, you won't be bringing everyone along with you to understand, oh, okay, well, where are the edges about where people are going to participate and the machine is going to do some work? And how do we define what somebody's responsibilities are? And what is the machine characteristic versus the human characteristic that helps us separate out what tasks or what work we'll give to AI versus what work we want to keep for people? And if companies or departments or organizations don't spend at least some time really understanding their position on that, they will more than likely make the Klarna mess of like, oh, we thought it was great, we did the thing, we didn't really think about the rest of the stuff, got rid of a bunch of people, and then we just turned this thing on to go do the stuff. If you get together and go like, okay, we're going to use the machines for this, but not for this, or we're going to question our assumption about, does AI need to be empathetic? Right? Like, well, no, it's not a person, right? Like it doesn't have empathy.
Yeah.
So why do you think
simulate
that
it.
you want to, build it into your systems and simulate empathy? I had a really, I know this is not answering the question, but it was a really interesting story. I was chatting with someone who was working with a bank, and they were telling me that they work with wealth management, and you wouldn't believe, like, people call this like moments, minutes, hours, or whatever after someone in the family passes away, and they need to deal with the accounts or figure out where the money is to pay for stuff, right? It's one of the first things you have to do, figure out how to pay final medical bills or pay the mortuary or the funeral director.
Figure that out.
You have to figure stuff out.
And you have some hours to do.
Yeah. It's like you have to figure that out right away. And so he's like, so, AI could really help, but like it needs to be empathetic. And I was like, hey, listen, man. If my mother passes away and I have to call a bank immediately, what I don't want is machine empathy. What I want is for that thing to say,
Machine empathy. Whoa.
maybe like, I'm sorry. Like, oh, the company is sorry to hear that. Not I'm sorry, because again, you're a machine and I know you're not.
Yeah.
But like the company is sorry for your loss. we want to get you through this as fast
And
as possible.
easily, yeah.
Here are 25 things that need to be done on your mother's accounts. Here are the first 3 things you should do. Do you want me to take that action for you now? Without a whole big rigmarole. I just want it to be fast. And I don't want to have to talk to you because I'm probably crying.
Griefing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
But don't think you need to make the machine the equivalent of the person.
Yeah.
Because if I had to call and talk to a person, that person also probably should be empathetic. Right?
A person.
I would be annoyed if they were like, oh, well, let me handle this for you, blah, 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 blah.
act
And like,
like a
oh, I
machine.
can't understand you. Could you stop crying for a minute? Like, nobody wants that.
Oh my God, yeah.
But a machine
Be patient
should act
and-
like a machine, right?
I
Like, so
agree. I
we
agree.
probably need to question these weird design decisions we're making about, like, oh, it needs to act exactly like the person. Like, we should let it be what it is. If we're going to bring it in, let it be what it's good at, let it do what it's doing.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, make it not rude, make it not whatever, but it doesn't need a personality, right?
I agree.
I am
I
all
agree.
for companies turning on a customer service agent and letting me do something very quickly. But I would honestly rather have it ask me, like, do you want me to process this return on your behalf? Say, like, press 1 or 2 and me type 1 instead of, yes, please, thank you very much, right? Like, I'm also not looking to engage in conversation with these things.
I read that even OpenAI
God.
was frustrated with this because it costs them a fortune.
Yeah,
Because
stop
everyone
it.
says thanks.
Yeah, shut up.
Stop saying, yeah. And that's anthropomorphization. That's a hard word, you know.
Right. But we also don't want people to start acting like jerks in texts
Of
because that will
course.
float over to people right away.
That's going to go into, yeah. And that reminds me of
But that's why I think we should say, like, oh, this is an agent for this bank. And this agent is, like, not Susie or Mateos or some other name that's like, hi, how can I help you? I'm this big person. Thing, ding, ding, blah, 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 blah.
then,
Stop
like,
it.
choose your personality.
It is
choose the
bank
yeah.
bot number 72. Like, just work it out.
Yeah.
Name
work
it
out.
what its job is. Like, name it wealth management bot. That's
Well,
fine. Like,
yeah, yeah.
stop trying to make me be my friend. I don't
Jeez.
want it to be my friend. I just want it to do something fast.
So this brings me to one of your conclusions, which is people working on this, they shouldn't focus on exclusive like IT solutions. They should also connect with human resources and other disciplines to make it better, right? And how could this work in practice?
Yeah.
Like what could change for the better in
Yeah.
this sense?
Yeah, the 3 things that I ask folks to do when we're talking through this is, if you don't think about what you're turning on with AI, whether it's an agent or a bot or a co-pilot or whatever people are calling these assistants, don't think about it as doing a process. Because if you just want to give it like, you know, step 1, if yes or no, step 2, step 3, like it's supposed
Like
to
a
be doing
flow
some
chart.
reasoning for you, right? So if you have to tell it exactly everything to do in order, it's not AI.
Okay.
Like let RPA do it. Like let remote process automation do it. Like you can already do that with technology. Go do that. Think about what it can do with its capacity and make that happen. And when you're doing that, think about how you would train an employee to do the work. So the analogies they like to bring into people are like, pretend you just got like 1,000 super eager interns. You don't just like put them on phones and let them go. You train them. You probably give them a manager.
Yeah.
That manager probably makes them take a couple of like compliance trainings or like read a book
You
or read an
supervise them.
article,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
You either spot check their work or see everything they do. They shadow somebody. Like
there are
think about
many
how you
things.
would train this to do the work, not the steps, because you hire people into your organization. You hire interns out of a college that has been training people in something related to your business.
Yeah, but not your
For a reason,
It
right? Like you
takes
don't
years.
just hire a stranger off the street and drop them in front of a thing and say like, oh, you know how to think like a person, so that's probably enough. Or like, go read the internet and now you can do everything at this company. So think about what laws apply to your company. How is the machine, how's the agent, the AI going to know that? Think about what your brand is, right? Every company you go into has some sort of brand playbook. Use these colors, use these fonts, say these things, don't say these things. Our tone is X, our personality is Y, whatever. But how does the AI know that, right? How are you going to get this information in there? So HR will have an opinion, marketing will have an opinion, compliance will have an opinion, risk will have an opinion, legal will have an opinion, the business department itself will have an opinion. Find ways to get that content digital so that it knows, or you can train it on what to do. And if there's too much, like you truly need expertise, then it's only ever going to be a companion to the person doing the work with the expertise, right? Give it a task that is small enough to be helpful with the information you can give it. And do not use these things to just cover up bad data. Like, don't think that you can show up with like crappy data and unstructured documents that are old and somehow the AI is just going to read through the lines and be like, oh, this was the good content, even though you gave it 300 pieces of
You
garbage.
have to label it. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to be perfect. AI can deal with unstructured data.
Some noise, but not
it can't be all noise.
pure noise. Yeah.
So
people are thinking like this. They're just like, just put it in, upload everything.
I mean, I think people are thinking like this because a lot of the marketing is trying to sell like that. It's super easy.
The
it can access your stuff.
And laziness as well. Right?
Well, yeah. I mean, we've told people for years. I mean, predictive has been in the market for a decade. And people are mediocre at using it, often because, like, the story of predictive is your data has to be real good. And the past has to be worthy of the future. Right? Like, so what you're going to learn and get out of this is based on whether or not the data itself is good and whether or not only the quality is good, but the appropriateness of that quality is good enough to deal with what happens next. Like, is it predictive of what should be happening in the future? If market is changing too fast, if other things are changing, if the business itself, like, turns a corner or does things totally different, like, some of that may change. So, because the narrative of predictive for years and years was, this will do a bunch of great stuff for you, but you have to have really good data and you have to have a pretty good amount of it. People were kind of like, we'll get there when our data is good. And they just never did. And so the story with generative is like, it's still also about data. But part of the narrative is, but not like predictive was, which is true. It's not like predictive was. You only need the right data of the right quality
to a
for the
certain
task
level.
at hand, right? Because a lot of it is accounted for in the models, or in a model that you fine-tuned, or in some other unstructured data on the side. But not everything can be a mess. Like, it can't read through a giant disaster area. It still needs some quality.
Some quality, some work. Yeah.
And some guidance. Otherwise, everything is the same level of importance or the same level of accuracy.
Yeah.
Right?
You got to, wow. And then going back to the actual job loss, you mentioned the unions in your conclusions, and that Europe has taken an important step in the right direction. Am I right?
Yeah, it's probably changed in the year that I've written it. I mean, I think there were some good successes. So Europe has work councils, or at least some countries do, right? Like France, Germany, both have work councils. Even before AI, when you're doing system changes, you have to be very clear and run those changes through the work council. If things change a job too drastically, it needs to be negotiated with what that group is. And I think for good reasons and bad reasons, right? Like whether I'm pro or anti-union doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about
as a researcher, yeah.
They just have a say in like how the job is done for kind of the benefit of the larger community. The UK is doing a little bit of that now. They're just now introducing some worker council capacities. I don't know the details
in an
of
AI
them.
context.
Yep. And then obviously in the US, I think the first and maybe the only real progress we've seen with any kind of union-related conversation about AI was early on when the actors strike was on, and
the Actors Guild in Hollywood when they strike the writers
because we care about actors. Even though we don't know them.
Yeah. What about children?
not kids. Actors.
Yeah.
And they did get some concessions in that agreement about AI taking actors' roles. Obviously, they're still using AI in Hollywood. Obviously, there still be generated characters and sets and what have you. But there were some concessions, and that was through a union environment. So all that to say, there's probably a role for some nature of workers' protection that should be a part of the conversation. I don't know what the formal structure and the success of that will be widespread. It really depends on different administrations and different elected officials and governments and how they're going to approach, frankly, who has more rights, workers or companies. And how they want to regulate the midline, which is the technology producers.
Okay. So yeah, the next few years are crucial on this, right? Like there's on the question of what is justice, one of the oldest definitions come from a pre-Socratic philosopher, Heraclitus. Yeah. And he just says justice is struggle. There's no such thing as justice without a struggle.
That's right.
In Spanish, justicia es lucha. It's like a strife. You gotta. So get in there, right?
Yeah.
Like getting in there. Yeah. And then you even go, I love that in your conclusions, you also talk about the possibility that maybe not even people or regulation could fix this wave, and maybe we need to have a conversation about universal basic income.
Oh yeah.
And it is always a strange topic for me, at least, because about the math, like would the math work? And then of course, would the psychology of humans be healthy without work? Because work is, it is a big part of being alive and being an adult. We go from being creatures that play most of the time, like my daughter Emma, to adults that mostly work all the time and sometimes play. What happens if the work evaporates to millions and millions and millions of people? And what would happen? Would there be a decrease in population? Maybe we're gonna have less people out there, less kids, and then, or maybe we're gonna have new categories of like social classes, because the work is also a part of who we are. That's what I mean. So what would universal, did you research about this?
I did a little bit. I didn't really put it in the paper, honestly, because there was no room for it.
Of course.
But a lot of the implications are already happening. I mean, I think it's funny. It's been a slow, well, at times not very slow at all. Like across the industrial revolutions, we've had to ask that question, right? And this is, I guess, Brynjolfsson and others said technically the fourth. About 3 years ago, they said we were in the fourth industrial revolution. But these things had to have had to change over and over and over again. I oversimplify it to like my hope is that we end up in, if we get back to video games and Fantasyland, the Star Trek future, where, if you don't have to pay for your daily living expenses and scramble and scrape to have enough income to live.
Pay rent and to live,
and everybody has enough to, have baseline human needs met.
Go to the
that
park.
People work for advantage in, things like, people will always want to be rich, which whatever your definition of enough is, go do you, right? And so finding ways to make money, I think, is something that people will always find a way to figure out. But because of the change in the nature of, and the narrative is really interesting now, because I think a lot of companies that are selling the tech have leaned into this like global labor shortage narrative, which, if you ask me off the record, I hope for the sort of Star Trek future of, people get paid enough to live. You can feed yourself. You have a roof over your head. You have your basic needs met, and then your time is spent improving the world, improving yourself, and whatever that means to you. Taking care of
your family.
Yeah. So whether that's status and earning more money, whether that's leisure, spending intellectual time, whether that's leisure and play, I don't know. Yeah. The world is constantly reinventing itself.
It is.
But we already have declining birth rates. We already have declining marriage. We already have increasing loneliness, right?
Across the countries.
Mostly across
many
countries.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have a good source to cite.
No, me neither. But I've heard. Europe, for example, is aging population.
We're always at a moment in time that is super critical, but this one feels more critical.
And I wonder if it's because we are alive, and perhaps this,
it feels critical to me because here I am.
Remember with Johnny, like he said, what was more like drastic, the invention of the weekend or the invention of the internet?
Yeah.
That's always an interesting thing,
Yeah.
It's a strange thing to to study. And to be honest, I'm very interested in AI, but I find it a hard topic to, it's kind of hard technically, but also hard psychologically, because we're also thinking about horrible scenarios all the time. Ethics is already hard on its own, but then ethics of AI is like, Jesus, it's a different kind of. When I tell people I study that, they're like, wow.
Like, sorry.
Yeah, like really sorry for that. And then we have things like robot rights and, children using AI. And it's all right. But well, JOAHNA, thank you so much for coming here. And I maybe should have said this at the beginning, but this podcast is not only about, work, but it's also about who we are when we research, when we work. And I think you're a wonderful person.
Oh.
I really like the fact that we became friends.
Same.
And I hope you come back over and over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm around.
All right.
Thanks for inviting me.
See you next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Gracias totales por ver este episodio de Sangre y Suerte. Espero te haya gustado. Si conoces a alguien que le interese este contenido, por favor envíaselo. No olvides de dejar un me gusta y un comentario para el algoritmo. Si quieres estudiar filosofía más formalmente, revisa los links en la descripción de este video. Y espero que encuentres lo que estás buscando. Nos vemos por acá. Fuerte abrazo.